Hi, everybody. So today we're going to be going over the elements of plot, and this is going to go hand in hand with The Most Dangerous Game. You were supposed to have read that on Friday, so if you have not read that yet, you're going to want to start by reading the story. Okay? So we're going to go over a little bit of a review of the plot chart and different plot elements. That way you kind of know what I'm talking about when we're going through. And more importantly, you know what you're doing once you have to complete your own plot chart of The Most Dangerous Game. All right. So this is your basic plot chart. Okay, it has the 5 elements of plot: the exposition, the rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Also, in your plot chart, you're always going to want to include your main conflict. So, what was the issue in the story? So, let's go over each one of these. Your exposition introduces the setting and the characters. Remember, your setting is the time period and the place. It can also be things such as the clothes they're wearing, the types of people they're around, what's going on during that time. Okay. Your rising action is the events that lead up to the climax. So you can have multiple events that are part of your rising action. In fact, in a longer film or a longer story, you are going to have multiple things that happen before you reach the climax. The climax is the turning point in the story. It's the point where the conflict really becomes the main focus of the story. It really comes to light. It's the turning point. From there on out, your rising action is done, and you're going to go into your falling action. So the main conflict is revealed, and it's the turning point in the story. Your falling action are the events that lead up to the resolution. So it's everything that happens after the climax, moving into the resolution, which is how the story is ended. So how the story ends or how the conflict is resolved is your resolution. The falling action is everything in between those two. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. Okay, so we are going to watch this short little film. It's called For the Birds. It's a Pixar short, and fill out a plot chart for it.
Dr. Zoidberg. Alright, for Dr. Zoidberg.
I love that video. It makes me laugh every time. I've probably seen it 30 or 40 times and it's still my favorite. Okay, so moving on after that, we are going to put that on our plot chart. Okay, so the exposition would be the little birds line up on the telephone line and bicker, right? We don't really have a time frame for this, but the setting is on the telephone line. Our conflict are the little birds mock awkward bird and they exclude the outsider. So that's the conflict. They're kind of bullying him and he's kind of naive and innocent and doesn't realize it. Rising action is the big bird lands between them and the little birds begin pecking his fingers to knock him off the line. Climax, the big bird's last finger slips off the telephone line after they realize what's going to happen. I love that look on their face when they realize that they're about to take a flight that they weren't ready for. Falling action, the little birds all fall naked and the big bird laughs. In resolution, the little naked birds all run and hide safely behind the bird that they mocked earlier. Okay, so you see all parts of our plot element chart filled out there for my little Pixar short. Okay, so let's move into something a little more complicated. So this would be your plot chart for the dinner party, which is the story that we read not last week, but the week before about them being in India and having a dinner party. And you see the hostess, the American naturalist sees the hostess talk to the servant to get a bowl of milk out on the veranda. Come to find out there's a cobra in the room. And she's the only one who knew about it, right? We talked about irony and how it was dramatic irony that we found out that it was on her foot the whole time. And we knew that, but the characters in the story did not. All right, so I went ahead and put this on a plot chart for you. So the exposition is going to be India, right? That very first line says we're in India. The setting is India. Early 1900s. And the conflict is obviously that there's a cobra in the room. Rising action. So you'll see that there's multiple events under the rising action. Like I said, there can be more than one. So event 1, the American naturalist sees the hostess call over the servant boy. The servant boy puts out a bowl of milk on the veranda, and the American naturalist orders everyone to sit still while he counts to 300. The climax, you're going to fill that in on your Google form that you're going to fill out after watching this presentation. The falling action is the colonel tries to prove his point about the man having the utmost control. Remember at the beginning of the story, he said that a woman would jump up on her chair and scream. And the American naturalist asked the hostess how she knew there was a cobra in the room. And then the resolution you're going to fill in on your own as well. And you'll find that Google form on Google Classroom. That's at the end of this presentation. Okay, so now that I've went over a couple examples, you're going to go to Google Classroom and there's a Google form on there that's going to quiz you on the elements of plot. So those are the 5 elements of plot, right? Exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, and then your conflict. Okay, it's going to be an extra one. And it's going to ask you plot questions over the most dangerous game. So if you have not read the story, do not open that Google form until you have read the story. I posted that on Google Classroom on Friday. There's a PDF and there's also a video of me reading it to you. All right, the Google form is titled Most Dangerous Game and Plot because it's going over the plot of the Most Dangerous Game. If you have any questions, please email me or call or text me on that Google Voice number, which is on your Google Classroom page. Okay, so thank you for giving me your best. Please remember, read the story if you haven't already. You might need to review it before you click on that Google form. Okay, and if you have any questions, email me. Bye, guys.